After being active in the adult industry for about 5 years, recording more than 700 scenes, and collecting a large number of awards, Emily decided to retire from the industry at the beginning of 2023. But just over a year later, in February 2024, while under the care of the Summit Malibu Rehabilitation Center in Malibu, California, something happened that would change her life forever and leave her in an irreversible vegetative state. This is the story of Emily Willis, a famous adult film actress who ended up in the worst possible way. But to know how this girl reached this point, you must first understand how it all began. Lara Banuelos, known worldwide by her stage name Emily Willis, was born on December 29, 1998, in Argentina. She was raised in the heart of a humble family consisting of her mother, brother, and her father, who is Mormon. Mormons are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, a Christian religious movement that believes in a restoration of the original Church of Jesus. They have various beliefs and cultures, but are generally characterized by their emphasis on the importance of family, service to others, and a health code that prohibits the consumption of alcohol, tobacco, and coffee. In addition to obviously rejecting any extreme objectification of women that would make them lose their integrity and worth, which causes a certain contradiction with the path her daughter would later take. But well, returning to her story, when she was barely 7 years old, her mother separated from her father and remarried an American citizen, which caused the family to move to the United States in the suburbs of St. George, Utah. There, Litzy lived her entire adolescence and graduated from high school a year earlier than expected, so she had to wait a couple of years to turn 18 to become independent, as she didn't want to continue living under her mother's rules. Having reached this age, she moved to San Diego, California, where she worked for a time as a door-to-door salesperson. There, she tried dating a few guys, but almost never had success because they only wanted something casual. So, frustrated, she tried her luck with a dating app where she met an adult film actor. After several dates with him, he encouraged her to film her first 2 scenes in October 2017 for the company Curse, and with this impulsive act, Litzy, without knowing it, would be paving the way for the beginning of a successful career in adult film. What started as a simple experiment and a way to earn some easy money quickly turned into a rocket to fame. Thanks to the sweet and innocent appearance she portrayed in her scenes, spectators began to pay more attention to her, leading her to stand out considerably in an industry known for being quite competitive, which led to Litzy, or rather, as she was beginning to be known, Emily Willis, signing an exclusive contract with Brazzers, one of the largest companies in the industry, in 2018, just 1 year after her debut. This move not only consolidated her as an emerging star in adult film, but also led her to win several awards at the industry's most important ceremonies. At her young age of 21, she was already beginning to be one of the most influential figures in adult film. Her name at various times topped the search lists on different adult sites, and her videos were constantly recommended. But as not everything in this industry is a bed of roses, the problems began. As is often the case in these situations, sudden success brought pressure. Despite her great fame, Emily was not immune to mental health problems, the constant physical toll required by some scenes, the public scrutiny to which she was always subjected, and the toxicity of social media began to take their toll. To escape all of this, Emily began consuming all kinds of drugs, from the mildest like marijuana to de-stress, to the one that became her best friend, ketamine, a drug generally used to anesthetize or relieve chronic pain, and which, when ingested in certain amounts, can induce a trance-like state. And primarily, we are not talking about a simple state of euphoria, since at high doses, ketamine can cause what is known as a K-hole, an intense dissociation experience where the person feels completely disconnected from their body and reality. It is a hallucinogenic state often described as being in a dream or outside of one's own body, and for a person seeking a total escape, these types of effects can be dangerously attractive and addictive. At this point, her life became a vicious cycle. Her days were now purely exhausting work that caused both physical and mental wear and tear. Added to that was dealing with fame and enduring all the pressure from social media, and you easily had a bomb about to explode. To try to cope with all this, she resorted to daily drug use, especially ketamine, and because her consumption was no longer just occasional but constant, in 2021, Emily, guided by her family, decided to take a short break from the industry. All this, according to her, was to focus on her well-being and return stronger. But time passed, and she did not return until early 2023, when she announced her definitive retirement from adult film. Emily said this was because she wanted to focus on a more conventional acting career and explore new opportunities, which were reflected in her participation in the film Davenati, where she plays Linz, one of the main characters in the film. This not only gave Emily a completely new platform to show her new version, but also somehow validated her talent beyond With this, it seemed that the world of conventional cinema was opening its doors to her, and for the first time, Emily had a real opportunity to turn her professional life around, but the problems of her past continued to haunt her. Emily was still consuming ketamine with the same frequency as before. She was in a severe state. She was dehydrated and had physical problems such as urinary tract infections, tremors, and pain, which led her loved ones, desperate to see her recover her life, to admit her to the Summit Malibu Rehabilitation Center, a place known for its focus on holistic treatments and an environment of luxury and serenity, a decision that seemed the most appropriate, but which, without knowing it, would bring serious consequences. A few months after being admitted, in February 2024, Emily was found unconscious in her room by a nurse. She had suffered a cardiac arrest motivated by the physical and mental exhaustion she was in. The deterioration of her health, due to her addictions, had finally taken its toll. Her body was in a deplorable state, which resulted in massive heart failure. The most serious thing about all this is that, according to several reports, the rehabilitation center took several minutes to call 911 after finding her, and if that wasn't enough, when the paramedics arrived, they began to resuscitate her, but it took them about 40 minutes to succeed, something that permanently damaged her. During that time, her brain did not receive enough oxygen, causing totally irreparable damage. And just to put it in perspective, so you understand the severity and negligence in all of this, with only 10 minutes without our brain receiving oxygen, it is enough to cause irreversible mental damage. And Emily was like that for a little over 40 minutes, which caused her to enter an almost permanent vegetative coma. I say almost because a few days later, she woke up, but not in the way we all would have wanted, since doctors diagnosed her with locked-in syndrome, a rare neurological disorder that has left her completely paralyzed with only the ability to move her eyes, quite possibly extinguishing any future she might have wanted to have. And currently, the family is suing the Summit Malibu Rehabilitation Center, accusing them of charges including abuse of a dependent adult, professional negligence, and fraudulent business practices. They allege that all medical protocols were ignored. Emily's deterioration while she was confined was evident, and no one did anything to help her. She is now confined to a bed at barely 27 years old, with very little chance of improving and recovering her life. It is sad because her story converges fame, excess, mental health, addiction, public pressure, and finally the failure of a system that, according to her loved ones, abandoned her when she needed it most. Perhaps the most painful thing is not only what happened to her, but what could have been prevented. This is a story that not only speaks of an individual, but of the enormous weight you carry when you are in an industry that only exploits you for your body and discards you when it can no longer profit from you. Either because you are no longer as attractive as you were before, or because of how damaged you are trying to cope with the burden of being an adult film actress. And mind you, not only did the industry she was part of fail her, but so did a society that considers itself morally superior for having a totally different lifestyle and way of earning a living. I believe we should be more responsible with every word we say. We don't know what internal struggle that person may be suffering. And of course, I couldn't forget the dehumanized health system we have. Perhaps if they had been better at their job and not so indolent and bureaucratic, Emily could have had another ending, perhaps one that would allow her to somehow redeem her past and find peace, something that we all deserve to have permanently in our lives. That concludes Emily's story. I would like you to leave me a comment with your opinion on her case, and if you believe she can ever improve or successfully get out of her situation.